tell you an interesting story concerning an unwelcome guest, right? A return to BLACKBRIAR, no less. I know probably many of you have been wondering. I promised this a while ago. And I did not mean to seemingly drift off the face of the earth with BLACKBRIAR, concerning we are now nearly about a month out since the album debut. I promised you a full walkthrough, right? A while ago. I've been covering the singles religiously whenever they've been released to the best extent that I can on time, and it's been a hard battle. As you can see, we're coming back into resuming coverage of BLACKBRIAR. Just to state it simply, it was not in any way intentional. Again, as I've said many times, BLACKBRIAR, a longtime favorite of mine in the European rock and metal foray, one of my earlier introductions prior to bringing on the self-ventured path I've been taking into that particular landscape of metal execution. And there's so many groups to speak of in terms of credits. I've given adulation and offered it wherever possible to many new interactions, but some bands stand out as preliminary introductions. BLACKBRIAR was one I met, I think, in early 2020 with Until Eternity. I'm sure many of us had that similar path of access if that's when we were introduced. Maybe at different dates, but that was one of the earliest points of introduction. That tune still clicks, but everything since, I become a big BLACKBRIAR fan. If anybody's acting on initiate standing with their work, you're not familiarized to their name, Gothic Symphonic Metal. And I gotta tell you, you are in for a special ride. The glamour and the atmosphere and the precision and execution of their numbers is something memorable. And of course, vocally, Zorlakok, one of my favorites. And there's many to speak of in the European credit, but she is fantastic. Again, flawless as far as I'm concerned with the execution of this group, and the mythic twists of their work and the application on narrative. These are incredibly enchanting releases that I have been waiting. I'm surprised I've held out this long, and it's been successful. I've not in any way been tempted to listen to the album for myself, because I told you, we're going to take this experience mutually, right? I love to do this, and it used to be an exception on a case-by-case basis, but Europe, I think it mandates it. And plus the idea, right, of saying, what if this is my first ever album we get to humor mutually, right? I do believe it enriches the musical consumption process, you want to call it that for lack of better phrasing, to enjoy it in company, right? For however we approach, or for me to be able to provide an opportunity for that to you. If you happen to be an initiate listener or a longtime fan, either side, I welcome you. And I hope that we get to enjoy good work together. Music, as I've said many times, a favorite art form of my life. It's been for many years. And BLACKBRIAR just speaks immediately to that interest. Seamless fit in my library and in my life. I cannot tell you how many times I've replayed their pieces. An incredible force within the music world. One of my favorites. And if you've never experienced them before, you're in for a really fun first taste. And maybe you've never waded into the European metal and rock landscape. BLACKBRIAR will be a great step for you. And again, I have been waiting for when we could return specifically for this number. I will say, though, before we wade in, I apologize to all of you longtime BLACKBRIAR fans, because I did say we were coming to this, and I did not mean to postpone it. But I'll give you a bit of a window of insight, other than, I'll keep it simple, a loaded schedule. September 29th was a booked day in terms of music releases. Now, everybody chose to put their new stuff out, and really those 2 weeks since the 22nd, it was just slammed with new pieces from a variety of different groups, whether they be singles or as well, likewise, full album debuts. And I also promised mutual deep dives of as well. So I've kind of felt like a lot of, and there's been how many other artists I've wanted to cover. Again, it's extensive list of many fresh entries and new names. So it's an abundant list. And on top of that, allergy season kicked in. So, there was that. And I thought I'd make it through okay. I'm good now. At least I'm holding out. I'm forcing it. Anyway, we're finally here to cover BLACKBRIAR after how long I've postponed my individual interaction of it enough. In particular, with this piece. I haven't voiced this yet, but I have been waiting in particular with an unwelcome guest. And I can say this knowledgeably because I couldn't resist it. I did humor the chorus video they put out on their social channels with the little selection of clips where we got a bit of a taste for how the numbers sounded. And if some of you BLACKBRIAR fans remember back to that early teaser that was put out with the announcement of A Dark Euphony's unveiling, you might recall that origin instrumental, the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, that really subtle one that opened it up. I'm thinking again of that. There were a couple teasers that were put out, but the one on YouTube specifically that advertised A Dark Euphony. This is the title with some of the music video clips inserted in quick succession and shots and cuts. Ever since I heard that, in the back of my mind, with each single we've entertained in previous journey with this, and I've humored everything, again, in advance, so we're getting a fully realized perspective mutually of a dark euphony together, in order, Crimson Faces, My Soul's Demise, I still love that one, Cicada, and Forever and a Day. Each piece in the back of my mind, I haven't voiced it, but I wondered, are we going to witness that particular tune come back? And I'll tell you why it stands out to me, because the minute I first heard it, I'm not the most knowledgeable Snow Patrol fan. I need to dive into their library in a deeper manner. I've needed to for many years. But the minute that tune queued up, I instantly got the Lightning Strikes, What If This Storm Ends vibes. It's differentiated subtly, but it's so similar. It's really close. And I remember back to when I first witnessed that, I think it was part of a movie trailer a while back that they used that particular tune. I think a lot of people probably would have that story of appreciating Snow Patrol's particular work from that angle. Because it's stuck. I think that movie was epic. I might have that wrong. Anyway, it was an animated film, whatever it was. That tune has always stood out to me. And to hear BLACKBRIAR, maybe just on a surprising coincidence, but to hear them play around with the same type of structure was incredibly inviting. So, now that I have seen that teaser selection of, again, the chorus clips, I know it's this one. I'm looking forward to the entire evolution of A Dark Euphony and to witness that alongside all of you for a first-time witness. Again, we're going to take that together, and I welcome anybody, as I said, longtime fan or initiate listener. I hope if you are, in fact, of fresh standing, you're going to come to love us. I think you will. There's a lot of potential for this to, I think, really invigorate an interest with you at BLACKBRIAR. And I suspect you're going to immediately be compelled to dive deep into their library. I would recommend it of, again, records and debuts past. But let's open up our journey into A Dark Euphony. Finally, the remainder, with the particular piece I have been waiting for exclusively, an unwelcome guest. Let's witness this scoring together. Hang on a second. All right, here we go. I've waited long enough. Already it's perfect. Here comes the quick launch, right? No, not yet. Okay. We're barely into the introduction of the song and the vocals are... This is great. Album launcher and already... The progression on this record, wow. The ethereal touch on her vocals too, it's really light. And the syncopation, that's kind of new. For certain. The tracking on this is incredible. It's basically the harsher take on the Lightning Strikes to me. It is differentiated, but oh, it's so reminiscent, especially when you hit these particular strands on the instrumental. The drifts are incredible. And the harshness on that riff, wow. Zora's application here is flawless. And we return back to the instrumental, taking those quick cues. See what I mean about it being so similar to Snow Patrol? It's so cool. I love it. The reprise was a good touch on those vocals. What a great album startup. Wow. That hits all the BLACKBRIAR cues for me. And I'll tell you what I also experienced with that. Origin EP with BLACKBRIAR all those years ago with, in fact, speaking of Until Eternity, Fractured Fairy Tale. I remember the effect of, I think it was called Fractured, no, what was the origin? I know that was the name of the EP. Oh, what was the name of the song, though? Hang on, let me look this up just to get the name right. Well, I should have remembered this one. Prelude. Anyway. I remember the effect of that opener going into Preserved Rose, or really the entire collection of the EP, and it was just so epic. I sense the same touch with this one. In fact, in the last album, too, speaking of The Cause of Shipwreck, it's similar, Confess. Well, I think this one, as ominous as Confess is, and I like the darkness of that number a lot, the key choice on this one is perfect. It just has such an uneven footing on entrance. It's naturally suspicious, dark, moody. The effect on it, though, and the resonance, and again, that score construction, what they capture on the riffs, that pace, the step pattern of the notes, the do-do-do-do-do, it's just so great. And it might not be Snow Patrol, but it just, exactly, again, it's differentiated greatly, but it's so similar, at least on that origin to me. Ever since I first heard it, I can't get enough of that effect, and to humor it with you, I have been waiting for this number, and you see why, right? I think it's great. Every trait to BLACKBRIAR that I love is in that. The spine on the metal root, Zora's vocals, and such an early introduction, too. Like, I would think some of these are saved as surprises for later in the record as you go through. Maybe oh wow, I can't wait for the evolution now. If like this is what you're launching off of, we've got how many more numbers? Again, aside from what we've already heard, 6 more pieces of a fresh lens. This is going to be a special collection, and it's faith warranted. I consider, again, every piece I've witnessed by BLACKBRIAR at this point, and there's such an execution and precision on that focus that the intricacy, I greatly respect what I hear from them. I don't think a Dark Euphony is going to be any different in full, right? The numbers we've humored, 5 now, have all spoken to just a beauty and a precision and a touch with this one. And a unique voice and evolution. This, to me, I hear growth with it. The faster vocals on Zora's behalf, that syncopation in the origin verse, to me, that's a bit different. Usually her vocals are... And it's probably because, again, of the mood of the songs and the way they're paced. I'm not saying this is a diss in any way, but because they linger a bit, certainly on Reminiscence, the vocals will bear a slower facade, but one that, again, it proceeds lightly. This just immediate swing, it deliberate. It's focused incredibly well. And it's a fun narrative vision, too. Like, we think of a goblin sits on my chest, an unwelcome guest that never left, 100%. I mean, of course, we don't have goblin. Again, this is the uniqueness of BLACKBRIAR, right? Fantasy and myth and a metal number spine. Really creative characterization with this particular group. I've loved covering them. I love highlighting their work. Like I do any artist. I feel quite honored to be featuring so many people that are so talented. BLACKBRIAR, no exception. And I've been waiting eagerly to return to a Dark Euphony. Not just for myself and the fact I keep postponing interaction of it. I can't listen to it until I experience it with you. Again, we're taking a fresh initiator journey here. But, you know, again, I promised it to you, and I do deliver my promise no matter how long it takes. Even against my wishes. I will say, though, to the credit of the wait period, right? Makes you pine away to hear something, and then when you finally jump foot into it, but you're met with something that exceeds your expectations greatly. An Unwelcome Guest is an incredible introduction. And to have a tune that's so, I mean, again, this is BLACKBRIAR we're talking about, but to put it on the forefront of the album as a launcher, I just love it. I love how it sits with me. The effect of it, again, in past recollection of other complementary and adjacent numbers, like, for example, Prelude. As easy as that is a name to remember, I should have in advance. Anyway, shouldn't have been so challenging. I experienced that same type of reflection with this one. Different number, much longer, but a beautiful vision to it, and such great touches. That ominous Fred. And the score, though, I can't get it out of my mind. It's just such a nice construction to me. I've loved it since the first moment I heard it. Just even on that tease, I've been waiting, and we get to witness it together. With more to come with BLACKBRIAR. How great. As we enter the graces of a dark euphony together. And again, how do you approach? Longtime fan, initiate listener, I welcome either party, especially for you initiates. What are your thoughts? And get ready for more. BLACKBRIAR, I think, will delight you. I'd love to hear, though, what your thoughts are, at least on the origin step down below. We're going to be in for a fun ride. I know. For sure. More to come at BLACKBRIAR. I promised you that, and I cannot wait to take a deep dive with you based on an Unwelcome Guest. And consideration of the past 4 numbers we've also heard in advance, we're in for something really special. I can already tell. Not a surprise at BLACKBRIAR, longtime favorite with good reason, as you can see with that piece. Absolute, I can't get over how good it is. Instant replay for me. Highlight of the record, though, as it stands. I'm not one to normally rank things, but that is a standout number. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.